Level 1. The Recruit. You haven't earned anything yet. You just chose to try. You sign the papers on a Tuesday afternoon. The recruiter shakes your hand. He doesn't congratulate you. He says, "See you at boot camp," and closes the folder. That's it. You walk out into the parking lot and realize you just changed everything. You're 19 years old and you have no idea what you signed up for. Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL Training, BUDS, has an attrition rate above 80%. 8 out of 10 men who start will quit or be removed before it ends. The recruiter mentioned this. What he didn't mention is that the statistics don't feel like statistics when you're living inside them, when you're the one in the water at 2 a.m. wondering if you're the 80 or the 20. Your first week is called Hell Week Preview. It's not even the real thing yet. You run, you swim in the Pacific Ocean in January, you crawl through mud, you do push-ups until your arms stop working, and then you do more. An instructor stands above you and says, "Ring the bell." There's a brass bell at the center of camp. If you ring it, you go home. It rings 11 times the first day alone. You don't ring it, not because you're not suffering. You are suffering in a way you have never experienced in your life. You don't ring it because every time you think about reaching for that rope, you think about your father's face, your hometown, the version of yourself you told everyone you were going to be. You don't ring it because you are more afraid of that conversation than you are of the cold. They make you carry a rubber boat above your head for hours. Your boat crew becomes your world. 6 men. You succeed together or you fail together. One man in your crew keeps falling behind. The others are furious. You pull him forward, not because you're a hero, because if he rings the bell, your boat crew is weaker, and you need every single one of them. By day 4, you have been awake for 90 hours. You are running on something that isn't sleep and isn't adrenaline anymore, something deeper. You stop thinking about finishing. You stop thinking about tomorrow. You think only about the next evolution, the next 5 minutes. This is the first real lesson they're teaching you, and they haven't said a single word about it out loud. Hell Week begins on Sunday night and ends, if you survive it, on Friday morning. 132 hours of near-continuous physical and mental stress, cold water immersion, sleep deprivation, sand, muscle failure. The instructors are not trying to break you. They are trying to show you the version of yourself that exists on the other side of broken. Most men never see that version. You are trying to. Friday morning, it ends. An instructor walks up and says, "Secure from Hell Week." 4 words. You're still standing. 22 of the 40 men who started your class are still standing. You sit in the sand. You don't celebrate. You don't cry. You just sit there, covered in salt and mud, and understand for the first time in your life what you're actually made of. This is only the beginning.
Level 2. BUDS Graduate. You survived the selection. Now they teach you how to fight. You graduate BUDS and receive your trident, the pin that every SEAL wears. A golden eagle clutching a trident, an anchor, and a flintlock pistol. The ceremony is quiet, no parade. Your commanding officer pins it to your chest and shakes your hand. You've been waiting 2 years for this moment. It lasts 30 seconds. Then you report to your first SEAL team. Your first team is a humbling experience. You are new. You are the least experienced man in the room by years. You keep your mouth shut. You carry the gear. You show up early and leave last. The veterans watch you. They don't test you with words. They test you in training, in the water, on the range. You perform or you don't belong here. There is no middle position. The training never stops. Combat diving, halo jumping, free falling from 30,000 feet in full oxygen kit before deploying a parachute 3,500 feet above the ground, sniper school, close quarters battle, demolitions, languages, medical. You are being built into something that didn't exist before, a precision instrument of the United States military. The process takes 18 months before you're considered deployable. Your first deployment is to a country you can't name publicly. You spend 4 months conducting reconnaissance missions, training partner forces, and running raids on high-value targets in the middle of the night. You don't sleep on a schedule anymore. You sleep when the mission allows. 2 hours here, 4 there. Your body adapts, or it doesn't, and you push it anyway. The first time you take fire in a real operation, not training, real, time behaves strangely. Not slow, not fast, just different. Completely present. Every sound, every muzzle flash, every piece of information processes simultaneously. Your training takes over before your fear does. That's the entire point of the training. Fear doesn't go away. It just arrives after your hands have already done the work. You come back from that first deployment changed in ways you don't have language for yet. Quieter, more patient, disturbingly calm in situations that would wreck a normal person. Your family notices. Your mother asks if you're okay. You say yes. That's technically true. Okay no longer means what it used to. Level 3. Leading Petty Officer. You lead a squad. Every man under you is your responsibility. You are now responsible for 8 men, their training, their performance, their morale, their readiness. Leading Petty Officer means you are the direct link between the officer above you and the operators below you. You translate the mission from strategy into action. If anything goes wrong at the operator level, it's on you first. You are planning a direct action raid on a compound in a mountainous region. The intelligence says 2 high-value targets are present. You've done this before. The planning process is methodical. Satellite imagery, rehearsals, primary and contingency routes, medical evacuation plans, communications protocols, actions on contact. You rehearse it until every man can execute it in complete darkness without a word spoken. The helicopter drops you 4 kilometers from the target. You move through terrain in silence, no lights, no talking, night vision only. Every man knows exactly where the others are at all times. This is the invisible language of a SEAL platoon, the communication of proximity and trust built over hundreds of repetitions. You don't look back to check on your men. You know they're there. The compound has more personnel than the intelligence indicated. It almost always does. Your training didn't prepare you for a specific scenario. It prepared you to adapt to any scenario. The mission changes in real time. You make calls. Your men execute. The targets are secured. You're back at the helicopter before first light. Debrief at 600. One of your men took shrapnel in the forearm during the breach. Not life-threatening. You treated it on site. Back at base, you write the incident report, complete the after-action review, and sit with him for 20 minutes before you write anything else. He's fine. He'll be fine. But you sit with him anyway. That's the part they don't put in the field manual. Leadership at this level isn't inspiration. It isn't speeches. It's being the most prepared person in the room every single time. It's knowing your men's strengths and their limits better than they know them. It's making decisions in 3 seconds that you've already made 100 times in your head during planning. Your men don't follow you because you're brave. They follow you because they trust your judgment with their lives. 3 deployments, 2 combat theaters, 47 direct action missions. You've lost 1 man. His name is on a bracelet you've worn for 2 years. You don't talk about him to civilians. You don't know how to explain what it means to lose someone in that context, the specific weight of a name on your wrist that used to be a voice in your earpiece. You carry it. You keep going. That's the job. Level 4. Chief Petty Officer. The backbone of the teams. The men who actually run everything. Chief Petty Officer. In the broader Navy, this is a significant rank. In the SEAL teams, chiefs are something else entirely. They are the institutional memory, the technical authority, the men who have been everywhere and done everything. When a new officer arrives at a team, he listens to his chief. Smart officers always do. You are now the senior enlisted advisor to your platoon's officer in charge. Your job is to make him look brilliant by ensuring that his vision is technically executable. If his plan has a flaw, you find it in planning, not in the field. You've seen enough officers, good ones, great ones, and the other kind, to know that the difference between a successful mission and a catastrophic one is often a single conversation before the briefing. You've been selected to conduct a personnel recovery mission. An American asset is held somewhere in a city of 3 million people. You have 72 hours and partial intelligence. Your team is 8 operators. You build the intelligence picture methodically, source by source, signal by signal, human contact by human contact. By hour 62, you have a location. By hour 68, you have a plan. At hour 71, you move. The rescue is successful. The asset is alive. You don't feel relief in the moment, just the systematic clearance of each task on your mental list. Secure the asset, check for injury, communicate status, move to extract. Feelings come later. During the mission, feelings are noise. You've trained yourself to process noise and act on signal only. You start mentoring junior operators, men who remind you of yourself at 22 years old, technically excellent, physically dominant, still learning that the most important muscle in special operations is the one between your ears. You tell them, the enemy gets a vote. Your plan is perfect until it isn't. Your job is to have thought through what you do when it isn't. Your body is a record of 15 years of this life. 2 surgeries, 1 knee, 1 shoulder. Tinnitus from thousands of rounds downrange without adequate hearing protection in early deployments. A scar on your left forearm you never explained to your wife's satisfaction. You are 34 years old and your body moves like it's older. You ignore this. You've been ignoring it for years. The missions don't care about your joints. The hardest conversation of your career happens in a conference room at Naval Special Warfare Command. An operator in your platoon has been showing signs of post-traumatic stress that he's concealing. He's one of the best men you've ever worked with. You have to choose between protecting his career in the short term and protecting his life in the long term. You make the right call. He hates you for 6 months. Then he thanks you. Level 5. Master Chief Petty Officer. The highest enlisted rank. You are the living standard of what a SEAL is. Master Chief. In 20 years of service, you have been to every major combat theater the United States has operated in. Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Somalia, Yemen, locations that will never appear in any public record. You've planned operations that shaped geopolitical outcomes that were then explained in press conferences by people who don't know your name. That's exactly how it's supposed to work. You are now the Command Master Chief of a Naval Special Warfare Group. 360 operators fall under your organizational responsibility. You don't run individual missions anymore. You set the standard for training, for conduct, for culture. The standard is the most important thing you can give to an organization. It outlives individual performance. It becomes the institution itself. A young operator comes to your office, 24 years old, 2 deployments, genuinely exceptional. He tells you he's thinking about leaving the teams. His wife hasn't been able to adjust. His kids don't know him. He's been deployed for 31 of the last 48 months. You don't tell him to stay. You don't tell him to go. You ask him what kind of man he wants his children to describe at his funeral. Then you let him sit with that. The culture of the teams is something you protect fiercely. The brotherhood, the accountability, the standard that says every man in this organization is responsible for every other man. You've watched organizations lose their culture before, slowly, through small compromises that seemed reasonable at the time. You hold the line, not from rigidity, from the understanding that the culture is what makes everything else possible. You testify before a Senate Armed Services Committee about special operations readiness. You wear your dress uniform with 20 years of decorations. The senators ask questions that reveal how little they understand about what they're funding. You answer every question truthfully and completely under oath. Then you fly back to Coronado and run 6 miles on the beach. Some things don't change. You think about the men you started with, the class that graduated buds together all those years ago. 19 finished. Of those 19, 3 were killed in action, 2 left with injuries that ended their careers. 1 is in federal prison for charges that still make you feel sick. 4 retired and are doing well. The rest, still in, still going. Each one of them is a full life, a full weight. You carry all of them. Level 6. SEAL Officer. You plan the operations that your men will execute with their bodies. Commissioned Officer in Naval Special Warfare.
The path here is different. Naval Academy or ROTC, then buds, then the teams. But the crucible is the same. The trident is the same. The mud and the cold and the bell are the same for everyone. Rank is earned before and after buds. During it, you are just another candidate. As a lieutenant, you command a 16-man SEAL platoon. You are responsible for planning and executing direct action, special reconnaissance, and unconventional warfare missions in your assigned theater. That is the job description. The reality is that you are responsible for the lives of 16 of the most capable human beings the United States military has ever produced in the most unforgiving environments on Earth, with incomplete intelligence and imperfect conditions, every time. Mission planning at the officer level is a different skill than executing at the operator level. You have to think 4 levels up. What does the combatant commander need this operation to achieve? And 4 levels down, what does the breacher need to know about the door material? Both simultaneously. You live in the space between strategy and tactics. Most people operate in one or the other. Your job requires both at once. You lose a man on your 4th deployment. The debrief is the longest meeting of your life. You reconstruct every decision, every intelligence assessment, every timing call. You look for the moment where a different choice leads to a different outcome. You find 2 possibilities, maybe 3. You'll never know if any of them would have changed anything. You carry this the way every commander who has ever lost someone carries it, completely, permanently. The Joint Special Operations Command wants you for a planning billet at Fort Bragg. You'd be coordinating multi-agency operations across multiple theaters. SEALs, Delta Force, Rangers, CIA paramilitary, Allied Special Operations Forces. It's a significant career move. It's also a desk.
I have the documents.
You request 6 more months with your platoon first.
Review it.
They approve it. 6 months becomes 9. You don't apologize. Command is a specific kind of loneliness. The men trust you completely. They give you their lives without hesitation. But the nature of command means there are things you carry that you cannot give to them. Doubts about intelligence, concerns about orders from above, the moral weight of decisions made in rooms they never enter. Leadership is partly about making sure your uncertainty never becomes their uncertainty. You absorb it. You stay steady. That is the job. Level 7, Commanding Officer. You command an entire SEAL team. The mission is now institutional. Commanding Officer of a SEAL team, 180 operators, the most lethal direct action force in the history of organized warfare. You don't touch a weapon in this role. You touch spreadsheets, budgets, personnel evaluations, congressional briefings, readiness assessments, and the occasional call from the Secretary of Defense's office at 0300 asking if your team can be wheels up in 6 hours. Always yes. The operational tempo of the last 20 years has taken a measurable toll on naval special warfare. Multiple deployments per operator per year, divorce rates above the general military population, substance abuse, traumatic brain injuries from blast exposure that weren't being treated a decade ago because nobody was looking. You see all of this clearly now from this level. You
By
push for
optimizing
change.
this route, we
Change is
anticipate
slow.
a 20%
You push
uptick.
Anyway.
Yes, that makes
A
sense.
sensitive
And the
operation has
overhead
been
decreases
approved by
here.
the National Command Authority, presidential authorization. Your team will conduct a strike on a network of targets across 3 time zones simultaneously. 60 operators, 5 helicopters, 3 countries, a 6-hour window. The operation is
With all
called
due
something
respect,
that will
boss,
never appear
this
in any
reorganization
history
plan is
book.
completely
You
flawed,
oversee the
and we need to
planning for
reconsider
30
it
days.
now.
On the night it executes,
If we
you
analyze
sit in
this
a
section of
tactical
the diagram,
operations center
the flow
and watch
changes
the feeds.
significantly.
Everything
So the
goes
variable
exactly
here
as
affects
planned,
the entire
mostly.
sequence.
The thing that keeps you up at night isn't the missions. It's the men coming back. The ones who look fine and aren't. The ones who deployed
I see
12
you all.
times in 15
We are here,
years
Commander.
and are now standing in a grocery
Ready.
store unable to
Patiently
decide
waiting,
between
sir.
2 kinds of cereal because the decision-making circuitry in their brain has been rewired by thousands of hours of lethal decision-making, and it doesn't simply turn off. You fight for these men.
The message has been sent.
Ever fought for anything.
Understood.
You are asked
Preparing
to
to
testify
receive.
about a classified operation.
I have
that
a
went wrong,
fantastic
a civilian
idea.
casualty situation.
Yes!
The
I don't
investigation
know.
lasted 14
We can
months.
do this.
The findings were classified. You answer every question truthfully under oath. You do not deflect. You do not minimize. 3 of the decisions made that night were yours. You say so.
Is there
Your
something
lawyer
you'd like
winces.
to discuss?
You look at the committee
Yes,
and you
about the
say so
paper.
anyway. This is who you are. Your 23rd year of service. You've deployed 17 times. You've been shot at
I
in
have the
11
results.
countries.
He
You've
knows.
planned or commanded
All
over
hail.
300 combat operations. You've written 47 commendation letters for operators who died in service. You know every name. You know the names of their children. That is not a burden you put down. That is the price of the privilege of leading men like these. Level 8, Rear Admiral,
All
Naval
right, all
Special
right.
Warfare.
Let's keep the peace.
You now become one of fewer than 20
Not
people
until
in
they
history
apologize.
to reach this rank
I
while
will
coming
not.
from the SEAL teams. You did not plan this. You planned missions. You led men. You held the standard. The promotions came because of that, not despite it. From this position, you see the entire architecture of American Special Operations, the interagency relationships, CIA, NSA, DIA, FBI, the congressional dynamics, the
Time
budget
for
battle
phase 3.
determine whether the next generation
Get
of
us outta
SEALs
here.
has the equipment and the training time to be ready.
Hurry.
You are now fighting a different
Capo
kind of
di
war,
tutti
a
capi.
slower one.
Boss.
One
Boss
fought
of
with briefings
bosses.
and budget
A title
requests
so
and
dangerous,
influence.
most
You
men
are
refuse
surprisingly
it.
good at it. You advocate publicly for the mental health of special operations veterans. You put your name on it and your rank behind it. Other senior officers caution you. The culture doesn't respond well to this, they say. You know the culture. You helped build the culture.
You are late.
The culture that says struggle in silence
no.
and push through everything.
Your last chance
That
is
culture
over.
has
Oh,
buried men
please,
you loved.
no.
You put your name on it anyway. A reporter asks you what the most important quality is for a SEAL. You think about every answer you've given this question over 25 years. Physical toughness, mental resilience, tactical excellence, teamwork. You look at the reporter
We
and
won't
you say,
tolerate this.
the ability to
Not
keep
without
going
our
when
say.
every reasonable
Please,
argument
let's
says
find
stop.
a way to compromise.
He writes it down. It's true. It's also a description of your entire life. The retirement ceremony is at Naval Amphibious Base Coronado, the beach where it all started. The sand that you crawled through at 3 a.m. 30 years ago, convinced you were dying, convinced you'd never be warm again, convinced the only sane choice
Thank
was
you
to
for
ring that
seeing
bell.
me.
You
Speak.
stand on that
We are
beach
listening.
in full dress
I have a
uniform with
proposal.
every decoration you've earned in a quarter century of service. The same ocean, the same cold. You.
I have
They
the
play the
documents.
national anthem.
Proceed.
You stand at
Here's the
attention.
first.
In your
Review
mind,
it.
not one memory, not a highlight reel, just the faces. The men who made it through. The men who didn't. The men who came home different. The ones still out there right now in a time zone you know but can't say, doing the thing you trained them to do. You gave them everything you had. They gave you everything back. That's the exchange. That's the whole thing. You drive home alone after the ceremony. No security detail, just you and a car and a road. You stop at a diner. You order coffee and eggs. The waitress doesn't know you. Nobody in the diner knows you. You have spent 25 years doing the most consequential work in the most classified corners of American national security, and you are completely anonymous in a roadside diner at noon. You find this deeply, genuinely funny. You leave a good tip, you drive home. This is the U.S. Navy SEALs.